May 3rd, 1942, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Station HYPO, 14 feet below ground. The air conditioning hums constantly, fighting the tropical heat that seeps through concrete walls. Lieutenant Commander Joseph Rochefort stands before a wall covered in paper. Thousands of intercepted Japanese radio messages pinned in overlapping layers like scales on a dragon. He hasn't changed his smoking jacket and slippers in 3 days. His eyes are red-rimmed, his ashtray overflowing. Around him, 30 cryptanalysts hunch over desks cluttered with code sheets, frequency charts, and partially deciphered messages that look like mathematical nightmares. They're hunting a ghost. For weeks, Japanese naval traffic has surged with references to a target designated AF. Something big is coming, something that could decide the Pacific War. But where is AF? The Aleutians, Australia, the Marshall Islands. Every intelligence officer has a theory. None can prove it. Rochefort circles back to the intercepts spread across his desk. The Japanese Navy uses a code system designated JN-5 by Allied intelligence, a numerical cipher with approximately 30,000 possible code groups. Each group represents a word, phrase, or concept. The system changes regularly, replacing code groups to maintain security. It's like trying to read a book where every word is a number. The dictionary keeps changing, and you don't speak the language. Station HYPO has been clawing at JN-25 for months, recovering maybe 15% of the code groups. Enough to get fragments, glimpses, but not enough to read complete messages. They know AF is a place. They know it's the target for a major operation scheduled for early June. They know the Japanese are committing multiple carrier divisions. The same fleet that devastated Pearl Harbor 6 months ago. What they don't know is where. Commander Edwin Layton, Admiral Nimitz's intelligence officer, appears in the doorway looking worried. "Joe, we need certainty. Nimitz is gambling the Pacific Fleet on your hunch. If you're wrong about Midway being F, we lose everything." Rochefort doesn't look up from his papers. Then I better not be wrong. But he is guessing. Educated guessing based on partial decrypts and traffic analysis, but guessing nonetheless. Japanese messages mention AF in the same context as coral, seaplanes, and distance calculations that fit Midway Atoll. It feels right. But feeling isn't proof. That's when Lieutenant Commander Jasper Holmes walks in with an idea that sounds absolutely insane. May 4th, 1942, hour 8 of the plan. Jasper Holmes stands at the plotting table, laying out his scheme with the precision of a chess master arranging pieces. He's a former submarine officer turned intelligence analyst, and his idea is either brilliant or career-ending. Probably both. "We make them tell us," Holmes says simply. "We use AF against itself." The logic is elegant. If Midway is AF, then Japanese intelligence is monitoring Midway, listening to American communications just as Americans listen to theirs. So give them something to hear, something specific, something they'll report back to Tokyo using JN-5. And when they do, Station HYPO will intercept it, decrypt the reference to AF, and confirm the target. Rochefort leans forward, interested now. "What are you thinking?" Holmes taps Midway Atoll on the map. The island depends on a desalination plant for fresh water. Ancient equipment, always breaking down. What if it broke down right now? What if Midway sent an urgent message, in the clear, no encryption, saying they're experiencing a catastrophic water shortage? The room goes quiet. Everyone understands immediately. If Japanese intelligence intercepts the message, if they consider it valuable, they'll report it up the chain. And when they do, they'll use AF to designate the location. Station HYPO will be listening. It's a lie. Someone points out, we'd be feeding false intelligence to our own base. Only the base commander needs to know it's fake. Holmes counters. Everyone else thinks it's real. Makes the deception authentic. The Japanese are good. They'll smell a trap if the message doesn't sound genuinely panicked. Rochefort makes the decision in under 10 seconds. Get me a secure line to Midway. Commander Cyril Simard needs to send a very convincing distress call. 24 hours later, Midway's radio station broadcasts an uncoded message reporting urgent fresh water supply problems due to desalination equipment failure. The message uses plain English, easily intercepted by anyone listening. It sounds routine, administrative, boring, the kind of logistical problem that happens at isolated Pacific atolls. Nothing suspicious, nothing that screams trap. Then they wait. May 6, 1942, Station HYPO, 3 at night. Radio operator Thomas Huckins rips a fresh intercept from his typewriter and sprints to Rochefort's desk. Sir, Japanese transmission. High priority naval intelligence. Channel. Rochefort grabs the paper, scanning the columns of 5-digit number groups. His team swarms around him, cross-referencing recovered code groups against their partial dictionary. The message is fragmentary, but 3 elements emerge clearly. Code group 7218. Intelligence report. Code group 4967. Freshwater. Code group 0139. AF. The basement erupts. Cryptanalysts are shouting, slapping desks, embracing. They did it. The Japanese took the bait and reported that AF is experiencing fresh water supply problems. AF is Midway, confirmed, certain, provable. Rochefort allows himself 1 cigarette to celebrate. Then he gets back to work, knowing where is only the beginning. Now they need to know when and how many ships are coming. May 10th, 1942, day 7 of the countdown. The intercepts are flooding in now, dozens per day, as the Japanese Imperial Navy coordinates the largest carrier operation since Pearl Harbor. Rochefort's team works in rotating shifts around the clock, translating fragments of messages into a picture of approaching catastrophe. Admiral Yamamoto is committing virtually everything for fleet carriers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, invasion transports carrying 5,000 troops. The plan is to seize Midway, establish a forward base, and draw out the American carriers for a decisive battle that will break US naval power in the Pacific. Cryptanalyst Thomas Dyer hunches over his worksheets, building code group recoveries 1 painful fragment at a time. JN to 5 is a 2-part cipher system. First, the plain text is converted to 5-digit code groups from the codebook. Then those groups are enciphered by adding random 5-digit numbers from a separate additive book. To decrypt, you need to strip away the additives, then recover the underlying code groups, then translate those groups into Japanese, then translate the Japanese into English, for layers of encryption protecting every word. But the Japanese make mistakes. They reuse additives they shouldn't. They send similar messages on different days with slightly different wording, giving cryptanalysts comparison points. They use stereotyped phrases and formatting that create patterns. And Station HYPO exploits every single weakness with relentless mathematical precision. By May 14th, they have the operation timeline. The attack is scheduled for June 4th, 1942, 30 days away. By May 18th, they have the force composition. Carriers Akogi, Koga, saw you and hear you under Vice Admiral Nagamo, the same carriers that struck Pearl Harbor, the same pilots who have dominated every naval engagement in the Pacific, undefeated, unstoppable. By May 22nd, they have the approach vectors and the planned bombardment schedule. Rochefort compiles everything into a 14-page intelligence estimate that reads like a crystal ball. He predicts the Japanese will approach from the northwest. He predicts they'll launch airstrikes at dawn on June 4th. He predicts the exact composition of the invasion, force down to specific ship names. It's the most complete intelligence picture any commander has ever possessed before a major battle. But there's a problem. Nobody in Washington believes him. Admiral Richmond Turner, head of Navy war plans in Washington, D.C., reads Rochefort's report and dismisses it as speculation. Turner's own intelligence section insists the Japanese are targeting the Aleutian Islands, not Midway. They point to intercepts suggesting operations near Alaska. They argue Rochefort is seeing patterns that don't exist, overinterpreting fragmentary data. The debate rages through secure channels for 72 hours. Rochefort's career hangs in the balance. If he's wrong, if he's sending Admiral Nimitz's 3 carriers into a trap based on faulty codebreaking, the Pacific Fleet will be destroyed and he'll be court-martialed. Admiral Chester Nimitz makes the final decision. He's met Rochefort, looked into the man's exhausted eyes, toured Station HYPO and seen the methodical brilliance of the operation. More importantly, he's seen Rochefort be right before. On May 27th, Nimitz commits everything to Midway. 3 carriers, every available cruiser and destroyer. It's all or nothing, based on messages decoded in a basement in Hawaii. Rochefort returns to Station HYPO and keeps working, because knowing when and where isn't enough. They need real-time intelligence during the battle itself. They need to read Japanese communications as the fight unfolds. The war is about to turn on whether a handful of cryptanalysts can keep reading minds. June 4th, 1942. 6 a.m. Station HYPO and 200 miles northwest of Midway. The Japanese carriers launch their first strike wave exactly when Rochefort predicted. 108 aircraft roaring off flight decks toward Midway's defences. Vice Admiral Nagamo stands on Okogi's bridge, confident his forces will crush the American outpost within hours, then turn to destroy whatever carriers Admiral Nimitz foolishly sends to defend it. What Nagamo doesn't know is that 3 American carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown, are already in position northeast of his fleet, waiting. Admiral Raymond Spruance and Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher have positioned their forces based entirely on Rochefort's decrypts. They know where the Japanese are. The Japanese have no idea the Americans are anywhere nearby. At Station HYPO, the radio receivers crackle with Japanese tactical communications. The battle is being fought in real time, and Rochefort's team is translating it as fast as the messages arrive. Lieutenant Commander Gilvan Slornim rips intercepts from his receiver, shouting translations across the room. Japanese scout plane reports sighting American carriers. Position 320, distance 240. Rochefort marks the position on his map. The Japanese have finally discovered the ambush. Now it becomes a race. Whose aircraft will strike first? The Japanese carriers face a nightmare dilemma, and Station HYPO hears them wrestling with it in intercepted communications. Half of Nagumo's aircraft are configured with land attack bombs for the second strike on Midway. To attack the American carriers, they need to be rearmed with torpedoes and armor-piercing bombs. That takes time, precious time, while American dive bombers are already inbound. At Hitsinam, the radio frequencies explode with frantic Japanese transmissions. Aircraft overhead, aircraft overhead. Rochefort's team translates the chaos as it happens. American dive bombers from Enterprise and Yorktown have caught the Japanese carriers at their most vulnerable moment. Flight decks crowded with fueled and armed aircraft, munitions scattered everywhere. Damage control teams exhausted from earlier attacks. The intercepts become frantic, desperate, then silent. 3 Japanese carriers are blazing infernos. Okogi, Koga, and Soryu wrapped in flames and secondary explosions as aviation fuel and bombs cook off. The pride of the Imperial Navy, reduced to funeral pyres in 10 minutes of perfectly timed American aggression. The 4th carrier, Hear You, launches a counterstrike that cripples Yorktown before American dive bombers find and destroy her by late afternoon. 4 Japanese fleet carriers sunk. The strategic balance of the Pacific War reversed in a single day. And it happened because a cryptanalyst in a basement had the audacity to trick the enemy into revealing their own secrets. The Japanese never realize how badly they've been compromised. They suspect the Americans had advanced warning, but they attribute it to superior reconnaissance, not code breaking. The Imperial Navy continues using JN to 5 throughout 1942, and Station HYPO continues reading their mail. Every operation, every convoy route, every strategic decision flows through codes that Rochefort's team can now decrypt with increasing accuracy. Joseph Rochefort receives the Distinguished Service Medal for his work, though the citation remains classified for decades. The public never learns about the water shortage ruse, the basement in Hawaii, or the brilliant deception that exposed Japan's entire naval strategy. That information is too valuable to share, because as long as the Japanese don't know their codes are broken, the Allies can keep reading their minds. Years later, naval historians will call Midway the turning point of the Pacific War, the moment American forces stopped retreating and started winning. But the battle wasn't won on June 4, 1942. It was one on May 6th when a fake message about broken water pipes triggered a Japanese intelligence report that confirmed AF meant Midway, the greatest naval victory in American history, achieved not with bigger guns or faster ships, but with mathematics, patience, and one cryptographer's accidental discovery that sometimes the best way to find an answer is to trick your enemy into giving it to you. In the basement at Station HYPO, Rochefort finally allows himself to sleep 16 hours straight, still wearing his smoking jacket and slippers. When he wakes, there are already new intercepts waiting, new codes to break, new secrets to steal. The war continues. But now, America can see what's coming.